Sonoma Raceway, the perfect setting for America's best drivers.
Pop a bottle and pour a glass, because NASCAR is headed to wine country.
It's the most fun weekend of the year. This place has always been a blast.
You know what we got to do today.
This is when all the chaos breaks out.
A fresh repave means fresh challenges for these teams as they navigate through the twists and turns of California.
You could feel the tension when you got here today, that things are ramping up.
All these guys lose their mind under 20 to go.
The heat of the season's here, so buckle up and pour it strong.
Around the Track's got you covered for everything you need to know to sail through Sonoma.
Wine country, it's beautiful, the racing's great. Who doesn't love Sonoma?
Welcome to Around the Track. I'm Kim Coon alongside Ryan Flores, and we are coming off an exciting weekend at Worldwide Technology Raceway. We saw the 9th different winner in the Cup Series, but I know you and I were happy for Austin and Cindric, but a little disappointed because we both picked Blaney to win that race, and you probably a little more disappointed than I am.
Yeah, we were actually standing together. You were in our pit box because you had us on pit road, but yeah, it was super unfortunate for our 12 bunch to just run a little bit light on fuel, but I was really proud of how we executed all day coming off of a tough race at the 600. So we executed high, put ourselves in position. Just a minor miscalculation took us out, but I'm excited for this summer stretch and what we're going to be able to do.
Yeah, at least it was a Team Penske win that we saw. Austin Cindric being the 4th different driver this season that's won that didn't win last season.
Yeah, it was bittersweet because those guys on that car are like my best friends. Pat Gray, Jesse Mills, Andrew Lackey, the pickers on that car, and even Brian Wilson. I've won a Xfinity championship with him. So I was so happy to see those guys win. I was part of Austin's team when he won the Daytona 500, so those were my guys until we had a little Penske shakeup. So like I said, if we couldn't win, those are the guys I want to see win. So while it was really bitter on one side, it was ultra sweet on the other.
We also saw Shane Van Gisbergen take home the win at Portland in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, his first Xfinity Series win. But both Austin and SVG drivers, we talk about being strong at road courses.
Yeah, and they could have another strong race this weekend. SVG did the tire test there for NASCAR. He won't be in the Cup Series race, but he'll be in the Xfinity Series race, and a lot of action on tap from Sonoma this weekend.
Yeah, and we're getting you ready, whether you're headed out west to take in all the racing action from wine country, or if you're going to be watching from home.
Yeah, as we take a look at the schedule, the trucks will be off this week, but the ARCA cars will replace them at Sonoma, followed by the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series. So all 3 series in the same place this weekend, unlike last weekend where everybody was kind of spread out. What are you looking forward to most from this ARCA race? Well,
the ARCA West race is going to be a big deal because we're going to have some interlopers. They're trying to get extra experience on that new surface. We're going to talk about the repave later, but Noah Gregson's in the field. We're going to have Brandon Jones and Sam Mayer. And I look at Noah Gregson, back when it was K&N West Series, he has 3 starts there, top 10s in all 3 of those races, including a win. So I see him as possible standout in that race.
Absolutely, and everybody's going to be paying attention to this race to see if the passing zones have changed, what the tire fall-offs like, and kind of how the race progresses because it's a new surface for everybody. So it's going to be very exciting to watch.
Yeah, exciting to watch, again, whether you're there or you're not, and lots of exciting racing across the globe. So let's check out the weekend schedule for other racing series. We've got IMSA at Mid-Ohio, that enduro race. That's actually where my grandma lives, is Mid-Ohio.
Really?
Yeah, she's about 15 minutes from the racetrack. And then we've got the NASCAR Mexico Series at Aguascalientes. The interesting thing there, Andres Perez is going to be in that race. He's the current ARCA Menard Series points leader. I was talking to him when he made his debut, his Truck Series debut last weekend. By the way, great finish, 9th place in his debut. But he told me that track in Mexico is almost identical to Iowa, and that's where they head next week. So he's getting a little bit of extra practice, he feels like, this weekend.
Yeah, it's been really cool to see him take on both series. I did see that that he's leading points in the ARCA Series and he's falling a little bit behind in the Mexico Series. So I'm sure it's a lot to pull at a young man to be going back and forth. That's got to be very challenging for him, but he seems to balance it really well, and a lot of exciting things coming up for him.
Yeah, he's hoping to make up some points this weekend with a podium finish at Aguascalientes. We'll see how he does, as well as we'll see how the Cup Series drivers do on that new surface at Sonoma Raceway. Here's what they had to say about the action headed into wine country.
I'm excited to go to Sonoma. I feel like Sonoma, with the repave, is going to be a lot of fun. I feel like it's going to be some really great racing. Should be on the Xfinity side and the Cup side. Beautiful scenery, beautiful place, a lot of elevation change, really fun racetrack.
It's going to be completely different than we've really ever seen there, at least I've ever seen there. So going to a place that's always been really slick, I feel like it's probably going to have a ton of grip, be a lot faster. A lot less tire fall off, so just kind of a different style race. I think qualifying is going to be super important.
You go a track that was very abrasive on tires, and really one of the only road courses that we have left that was abrasive on tires. Now it's not going to be like that anymore. It's going to be hammer down every lap. You're not going to need to really save your tires. It's going to be going. So the strategy will be quite a bit different. The racing, I feel like, will change. The aggression level, how hard you have to drive your car every lap is definitely going to be different. So it may be in the same place, and the layout may be the same, but it's going to be a completely different track.
As the drivers alluded to there, Sonoma Raceway is going to look a lot different this weekend, and the format's also going to look a lot different for the Cup drivers. Practice on Friday, 50 minutes of practice on Friday, qualifying Saturday, and the race Sunday at 3:30 p.m. It's going to be a hot one, but first, we're talking about practice.
We are, and 50 minutes, you know, if they were on the old service, might seem like a lot because they already had a thick notebook and could, you know, even work on their cars even more. But with it being a new surface, I don't know that 50 minutes is enough to figure it out.
Well, these teams have gotten so good with simulation and technology, and each manufacturer sends a wheel force car out there. So Chevy, Ford, or Toyota, they have all the data they're going to give to their teams, and these teams are going to have 2 or 3 different options
Setups
on what they want to run, and they'll, you know, the great teams will have, you know, an idea. That's where your teammates become an asset as well, because you send one car out on one setup, another one on another, and you kind of, after practice or in the middle of practice for the last run, you put it all together and give your drivers the best shot. So we'll see which teams are up for the task.
So you shouldn't consider this even or more even playing field?
Anytime there is something different, it evens the playing field, but somebody will rise to the occasion. And this race is going to be hard, like the drivers talked about. It's going to be hard on the driver because they're going to be pushing the tire to, you know, its maximum potential. Like they said, there was a lot of fall off before, so they were always trying to keep the rear tires on it, don't burn the fronts off of it. Where now you're just going to be driving it as hard as you can. So I've seen where that becomes like almost more action-packed because the drivers are a little bit more reckless and take more chances. And look, there's grass on both sides. If you dip a tire off, it could cause a wreck. So I would almost predict more action at Sonoma than we're used to seeing.
So the Cup Series drivers have a lot to learn in that 50 minutes of practice. The Xfinity Series 2 has a lot to figure out, but last year it was Eric Almirola that had Sonoma Raceway figured out.
Good afternoon from Wine Country. NASCAR's Xfinity Series going green at Sonoma Raceway. Joe Graff Jr., there it goes down the hill. Turn 7, teammate Ryan Sieg had a problem. Ross Chastain into John Hunter Nemechek. He goes around. This battle appears to be spirited.
Trouble in turn number 10.
Heavy damage there on the 45.
That will wipe out a 13-second lead for leader Kyle Larson.
Eric Almirola. He gets it done in Wine Country.
Oh, man.
Burn it down, man.
It's hard to explain. Oh, man, this is so special.
As we saw there, no shortage of action last year at the Xfinity race. Kyle Larson with a late charge to his home track. Hey, big news this week.
Yep,
He
was granted a waiver.
Yep, but yeah, that's his home track. He was chasing down Eric Almirola. Eric ends up getting a win, but a lot of new faces in the field this weekend. What are you looking forward to?
Yeah, there's going to be a mix of folks that we don't see on a week-to-week basis. You got Boris Said in the field, Preston Pardis, Sage Karam, as well as Ed Jones. Ed Jones had a great run recently at Portland. Excited to see what they're going to do. But we talk about, you know, the Cup Series having to figure out this repave. You know, the question is, do the Xfinity drivers really have to figure that much out? Because this is only the second time they've raced there. So they don't have those nuances of the track ingrained in their brain like the Cup Series drivers who were years and years racing on that older surface.
Yeah, there's that. When I look at everybody that comes in the field, I'm super excited about Boris Said, but it's a new track. One guy that does have laps around there, talking about Xfinity regulars, is SVG. He went there and did the Cup test. He won last week, right? This is the guy. This is the like when in a world of road course ringers, SVG is the cream of the crop. So I'll be excited to see if he kind of settled in. It was a rough and tumble race last week. I heard he even chipped his tooth during the race. Had to go get it fixed on Monday. So we'll see if he settles in. Another guy that's an Xfinity regular that always stands out at road courses is Parker Klingerman, and we have more about him right here.
we talk about Parker Kligerman, here's just a quick look at some of his resume highlights, including 8 straight top 10s at road course races in the Xfinity Series. And that doesn't tell the deeper story of those top 10s. 4 of those were top 5s.
Yeah, then that's how you win races, right? You put yourself in contention at the end. These races get so crazy at the end of them, and he's able to punch his ticket into the top 10, like we said. So he's just got to be able to get that lead, and I'm hoping that this Patrick Donahue-led team can get him some clean air and he can contend for the win.
Yeah, Patrick Donahue, the crew chief, always has great strategy in mind. It just something always takes them out of the race. It seems like when they have really fast cars, a pit road mistake catches them, or the opposite, like when they don't have a great day, everything else lines up. So they just have to have the perfect day, and Parker will end up in victory lane for the first time. It's hard to believe he does not have an Xfinity Series win yet.
That is crazy. I wouldn't have guessed that either. Like we said, his last win was with the Truck Series at Mid-Ohio. So he's a bit of a road course ringer, but like you said, the teams are going to have to be strong this weekend. Track position is going to be just so important. So your strategy is going to have to be great. You're going to have no problems on pit road. And when you look forward to the Cup race, it's going to be the same way. So let's take a look back at the Cup race last year to see what the action was like in 2023.
Welcome to Sonoma and wine country.
Today, it's NASCAR country.
All right, boys, have a good one in there. Make it happen. I'm ready to go to work. I'll give you hell in here. Going on the flag. Green, green, green.
Truex taking the low line on Bell to take second place.
Settle back down. Let's go get the 11 next.
Oh, got one around.
They got loose. They kept digging. They want to do that.
Whoa, I can't second.
You just gave me a heart attack.
It is literally all downhill from here.
That's so fast. Oh, yeah, brother.
Martin Masters Sonoma.
Feels incredible. You just keep fighting. You never give up on it.
We're now joined in studio by Josh Berry, driver of the number 4 Ford Mustang for Stewart-Haas Racing, and you're going to help us preview Sonoma Raceway. The big talk as we head into the weekend is the repave. You were at the test in March. What did you learn? What was the big takeaway?
Well, it was really fast, really smooth and really fast. I think it still has all the same characteristics that Sonoma has, but it's going to be much faster, probably 4 seconds, 5 seconds, so it'll be really interesting to see how that plays out.
There's always the question of, is there an advantage to being at a test? And with a repave, I would think there would be. Do you feel like you have a little bit better start at this weekend than maybe drivers that didn't do the test?
I think so. I think it was a great opportunity for us to learn, right? I think get some more experience with the next-gen car on a road course, but also work on our car a little bit, learn some things. So I think we should be able to hopefully apply that this weekend when we get back.
As we talk about experience in the next-gen car, COTA was your first road course race in the Cup car. What's the learning curve just in general for you? And then you have a limited amount of Xfinity Series experience on the road course, so what's the jump been like?
I think obviously it's much more competitive, right? Everybody's just better at the Cup level for sure. But I think the biggest thing for me is just getting acclimated to the car, how it feels going over curbs and turning left and right, and then obviously getting used to the brakes, and the effectiveness of the brakes have been the biggest things to learn. And like I said, just try to execute a good race, stay on track, and be there at the end.
With that being said, what's a realistic goal for this weekend for you and the team?
I think the top 15, top 20 would be realistic for us. I think we know that I'm still getting acclimated to the road courses, but I feel like it just depends on how we start, and we'll kind of adjust from there. I think that we learned a lot throughout that test that hopefully we can apply again, so we'll just have to see once we get there and see how we start, but hopefully we can have a good day.
We are headed into the summer months, and it's actually going to be very hot this weekend in Sonoma. I think the high is 91. As a driver, how does that impact you in the seat of the car when the temperatures are in the 90s or above?
Well, it's definitely an adjustment, I think, for how it feels comfort-wise. But when it gets over 90 degrees, it's always pretty hot. But we will all work throughout the off season and throughout the week to prepare the best we can to stay hydrated and eat the right things, drink the right things, and be prepared come Sunday.
Is there a difference when you're seeing heat, whether you're at a road course or an oval?
Road courses are definitely busier for sure. It's still hot, but the amount with the shifting and the braking and everything, it's more of the physically demanding races. So when it's hot like that, that's just another added part to it for sure to make it hard.
All right, well, we appreciate the insight. Good luck this weekend, and we'll see what Josh Berry can do at Sonoma. So like we talked about with Josh, it's going to be a very hot weekend in Sonoma. We're going to see temperatures over 90 degrees, but as we look at the drivers who have succeeded in some of the hottest races recently, Byron and Chastain are the ones that pop out.
Yeah, and the other thing that pops out is 2023 was really hot. There was a lot of warm races. you know, this is a place that William Byron can win at. We've seen that 24 team can be strong anywhere they go. Ross Chastain and Kyle Busch, they could also be sleepers depending on track position. All three of those guys in Chevrolets now. But the other thing I have my eye on, Will Brown and Cam Waters, they're going to be kind of ringers in the field, one for RCR and running that, I don't know if it's Project 60 or whatever they're calling it at RFK.
Stage 60, I think.
Stage 60,
yeah.
So I'm super excited to see what they're able to do.
I'm wondering, like the temperatures that they see in supercars, I would think being on Australia maybe likens them a little bit more to what we're going to see this weekend?
Yeah, I'm not sure, but we'll see. SVG did well in the rain.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's super rainy, but and you know, with it being that warm, it's going to add it's the other thing that has been talked about a lot is this repave. They had some trouble with it, so they had to take up some parts of the track and put some parts down. So it's going to make this brand new asphalt really greasy, and as it gets rubber put down on it, it's going to make it really tricky. So even though it's a fresh repave, there's a chance that it gets pretty slick as well.
Yeah, it'll be slick, but they did have events after we saw those issues from, I forget what was running there in April, where we did see parts of the track come up. They've had multiple events after that. There doesn't seem to be any problem since then, but to your point, it is going to be hot. We'll see what that does to the racetrack, but then to the drivers, because you're going to have to approach this totally different than the old surface. You know, how you make the car fast and the G-loads we're going to see on drivers combined with the temperatures. This could be one of the most physical races we've seen all year and maybe in years.
Absolutely. No doubt about it. And if your cool shirt goes out or your helmet blower breaks, like, you do not get a break here. Like at least at ovals, you kind of have the straightaways, you get in a rhythm. Where here you are driving, you're shifting, you're driving the crap out of the car the whole race. So like you said, it could be a very physically demanding race. I remember we lost power steering here in the last couple of years, and Blaney ran the last, you know, I don't know, 20, 30 laps of the race with no power steering, and his butt was just whooped the rest of the week. So you got to make sure that all of your stuff inside the car, or all of your tools for keeping hydrated and staying cool, are working properly.
Yeah. Okay, we've seen the cool suits just cut out.
It's
very
common.
It's not like going from having a cool suit to what you would have if it wasn't a cool suit. It's pumping warm water all over your torso.
Yeah, when it goes out, yeah, it turns hot, and it's almost like it's baking you. But yeah, that like we said, it's a full team sport, and it's not just the pit crew's gonna have to be great. Pit road here being repaved, I'm excited to get to it. It's almost separated like two different pit roads with a turn in it. You're gonna have to be ready at all times, because even if you run this race backwards, like a lot of teams will do, just to take just enough fuel as you will need, you're always one spin away or getting off track from diving on a pit road. So you have to keep your helmet close and always be ready. It's just, there's a lot going on, and I love the unknowns heading to Sonoma.
Yeah, and don't forget, this year we are seeing stage break cautions at the end of the stages on the road courses. But now that we've told you everything you need to know about what to watch for after the break, I catch up with Erica to get the best bets of the weekend.
Hey guys, I'm Corey LaJoy, driver of the number 7 car, joined my buddy Ryan Flores. Every week we stack some pennies. Talk about NASCAR Cup Series right out of my windshield.
Plus, we'll give out the dogs of the week for the best pit crews and pit crew guys from the weekend. We'll break down all the money stops, all the woes, get into some technical issues, and we'll also answer all of your hashtag Penny for Your Thoughts questions.
And we have a ton of guests. Sometimes SVG pops by, we got Raja, we have all sorts of guys. You never know who's going to pop in the Nonsense Garage, but make sure you tune in SiriusXM on Tuesdays, YouTube on Wednesdays, wherever you find your podcast on Wednesdays as well. Come stack pennies with us.
Now I'm going to welcome in Erica, our resident sports betting analyst, for Easy Money with E. And things were not so easy last week, Erica, but that's the fun part about betting, is NASCAR is so hard to predict that it makes betting very tough, but it makes it very fun when you cash out. So because we didn't make as much cash last week, how's that going to direct what we do this weekend?
Kim, I love your positive perspective, your positive spin on it being fun, even though we only hit one best bet. But you know what? I'm gonna internalize that. We did have one best bet to hit, but because we could have won more cash, we are gonna direct our bets in an easier way this week. I say easy, then I'm gonna jump into a parlay. What you think about that?
Okay, let's hear it. A cross-sport parlay to kick things off for the betting weekend. What are we looking at?
We are going to take a 2-leg cross-sport parlay on the Dallas Mavericks and Boston Celtics Game 1 of the NBA Finals. And the second part of that 2-leg parlay is going to be, of course, our road course race at Sonoma. So we're going to back the Dallas Mavericks to cover the 6.5 point spread. And just, word to the wise, Dallas covers the spread 59.6% of the time this season. And even Boston head coach Joe Mazzulla was like, I think Kyrie and Luka are going to be so hard to contain. So if he thinks that, I think that too. Now, on the second part of the two-leg parlay, we are going to back Chris Buescher at -180 to be a top 10 finisher. Chris Buescher in his last 12 road course races, Kim, he does not have a finish worse than 11. So with that in mind, these two together, a $10 bet wins you a total of $29.70. NBA road course racing, two of my favorite things. But also remember, if you don't want to make this a parlay, you can always make these straight bets. Just know if they both hit, you won't win as much money. Good luck.
I like it. You're putting your money behind Texas. We got the Dallas Mavericks and then the Prosper, Texas native in Chris Buescher. Awesome stuff there. All right, let's focus solely on Sonoma Raceway. Let's start with your bets for Sonoma strictly.
Martin Truex Jr., I'm going to back Kim to be a top 5 finisher at -110. The main reason I'm going MTJ here, honestly, is because he's got 4 wins at Sonoma. Now, this is going to be a lesson in patience for me because even though he's got 4 wins at Sonoma, I am very sad, upset in my feelings about what happened last week at Gateway with MTJ. But he's proven himself. So I got to back him again in this spot. And also I want to make sure that everyone knows to shop around because I have seen him at -145, -135. So -110 is actually just a slight bit of an edge there. So MTJ -110. Top 5, let's do it.
Okay, so that's your top 5 pick. As we broaden things, let's look at your top 10 pick for this weekend.
Gonna back Daniel Suarez in this spot at +120. Now, Kim, when you and I were talking earlier, you brought up a fantastic point about the weather. It is gonna be in the low 90s in Sonoma this weekend, and that is hot, hot, hot. I don't care where you're from. That's hot to me, at least. So with Daniel Suarez, he actually won this race back in 2022, and that race also was hot. So with betting and with sports in general, like we know, weather always plays a part. When I go exercising outside, if it's hotter than 70 degrees, I go back inside. How about you, Kim?
Oh, I agree. I like your thought there. We'll see what Suarez has as well as the rest of the field as it's going to be a very hot weekend in Northern California. But let's talk head-to-head matchups. These are my favorite bets. Who are we looking at being paired up this weekend at Sonoma?
I thought you might like these head-to-heads. My first one is Denny Hamlin versus Austin Cindric. I'm going to go with Denny Hamlin at -120 over Austin Cindric at +100. Now, you guys know I'm always all about the plus money when it makes sense. And Austin Cindric in this spot actually can make sense, but Hamlin at -120, the payout wouldn't be that much different if that ends up hitting. So I'm going there. And Denny is more to me about the devil that you know. Denny also is on a little bit of a hot streak himself. He's got 5 consecutive top 5 finishes on the season currently. Yeah, Austin won the race last week, the weird race last week, but I'm still going Denny in this spot. And I do have one more head-to-head.
Okay, let's hear it.
My second head-to-head is Michael McDowell versus AJ Allmendinger, and I'm going to go Michael McDowell at -110. And Kim, hear me out when I say this. The biggest reason I'm going Michael McDowell in this spot is because he's earned himself 3 poles this year. And to me, whether he gets the pole or just has a great starting position at Sonoma, that to me can set him up to run a really fantastic race. And I do believe that he can finish ahead of AJ, especially if he starts off really well this weekend at Sonoma.
You know, when you mentioned Michael McDowell versus AJ Allmendinger, I thought, man, this is going to be a really hard pick. But then you're reasoning about the number of front row starts we have seen from Front Row Motorsports, and Michael McDowell is a great point. And if he's able to get a good starting position, he can really dictate the race like we see at road course racing. So I like your picks there. Some great insight, Erica. Thank you so much. We're going to check in next week as the Cup Series makes its debut at Iowa. And after the break, Ryan and I have your fantasy picks.
Join Todd Gordon and myself each week for NASCAR Inside the Race. We'll break down exactly how the race was won.
Plus, we'll dive into the data and go in depth on race strategies, penalties, and rule changes.
Catch NASCAR Inside the Race presented by Consumer Cellular each Tuesday on NASCAR's YouTube channel.
All right, it's time for us to give you our picks for fantasy. I know, sometimes you want to see practice first, and especially in this case, 50 minutes of practice will give us an indication of who's going to be good. But strictly going from what we've seen in the past, who is your must-have for Sonoma Raceway?
So I'm taking a little bit different approach this week because this is an opportunity, I think, that you can save somebody for later in the year. So Will Brown, right? He's an unknown because we haven't seen him, but what I do know about Will Brown in that RCR 33 this weekend is that he's won 3 Australian Supercar races this year, and he's the points leader for the V8 Supercars. Man, last time SVG came in, these cars are really close to those supercars they run over there, so I'm looking for big things out of him and that 33 this weekend.
All right, well, I'm sticking with the Will theme, but going William Byron. We should call him Will Byron.
Should we call him
Will?
I don't know.
Byron?
Willie Beard?
Well, he's won 2 of the last 3 road course races. The other one he finished second, so super strong when it comes to road courses. I know your theory about like saving the best for other. I mean, you just have to start using your good drivers. So Willie B is my choice.
I'm with you. You don't want to keep your good ones in the bank
for too long because it resets for the playoffs.
Absolutely. Speaking of keeping people in the bank, who are you staying away from this weekend? Who's your black flag?
All right, my black flag. Now, he may be tempting to put in your lineup, and that's because he has 3 road course wins in Tyler Reddick. However, those road course wins, they have not come at Sonoma. His best finish in 3 Cup Series at Sonoma, 19. So again, you might be tempted to use Tyler Reddick, but I'm saying stay away.
Yeah. That's surprising to me because I would not think that, so that's good insight. The one person I'm going to tell you to stay away from, I love him. He's got a win this year, but I've been road course racing with him before, and it's Brad Keselowski. I will save him for some ovals. I think he's going to be great throughout the summer stretch, but rights and lefts, I am not taking him. Okay.
Stay away from Keselowski and Reddick.
Well, a lot going on around Sonoma Raceway this weekend. There's always a ton of entertainment. What are you looking forward to most in the midway?
I don't know if you've heard this, but there's going to be a big celebrity in the fan zone this weekend.
Really?
By the name of Lightning McQueen.
Ooh.
If you have little ones, you know. Not even little ones. The first cars came out years ago. Like, you think about all of the adults that are Cars fans.
Well, we had Raja on Stacking Pennies a couple weeks ago, and we asked him kind of who got him into racing. He's like, oh, Lightning McQueen. I was like, oh, I feel old.
It made him a fan, so you'll see maybe some kids getting photos with Lightning McQueen, but don't be surprised if you see some 20 and 30-somethings getting photos with Lightning McQueen.
It's always fun with the way the garage is set up there. You're right next to the kind of the midway and where everything's going on, so you always have to walk through, and there's always a lot of exciting things going on, and you can see everything that's going on at SonomaRaceway.com. With all that being said, it's time for the white flag.
It is.
Are you ready? I got a question for you this week.
Okay. Let's have it.
You ready? What livestock is used to maintain the grass around Sonoma Raceway?
I mean, this isn't a super hard one if you've been to Sonoma Raceway. The answer is sheep. And I know that specifically because when I worked for Sprint, we had the Sprint Experience, which was like a big fan display. And our stage looked directly onto the hillside and got to see the sheep.
You got to see
and they mow the lawn. We saw sheep being birthed one year.
Really?
Yeah.
Man, you got the full experience.
Full experience.
Another exciting thing is that fans can symbolically adopt a sheep of their own and help local children and families in need. You can check all that out at SonomaRaceway.com for more information.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you get to name the sheep, you think?
I mean, you can name it if you want. I don't know. You would have to go to SonomaRaceway.com to see, but you could just make a name up.
I feel like you would have to stick with like a wine theme like Cab or Merlot or... Zin.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd just name it like Jeff or something crazy.
All right, well, to check out all of the action next week, don't forget to tune in to Around the Track.
Yeah, we're going to Iowa for the first time. It's always exciting when we bring the Cup cars to new markets, so tune in right here as we take you through everything Cup racing back in Iowa.